My friends, if you are receiving Social Security, SSI, or SSDI right now, I need you to stop what you're doing and watch this video all the way through, because what the Social Security Administration just announced could directly affect how much money lands in your bank account starting this month. I'm talking about changes tied to a $1,750 benefit threshold that millions of Americans have no idea is even happening right now. And if you miss this window, if you don't take action in the next few days, you could be leaving money on the table. Or worse, you could face an unexpected reduction in your check with no warning whatsoever. I know how stressful it is to open your bank app and see a number that doesn't match what you were expecting. I know what it feels like to budget every single dollar. Your groceries, your prescriptions, your electric bill, all built around that one monthly deposit. So when something changes and nobody tells you about it, that is not just frustrating, that is wrong. And that's exactly why I'm here today. Let's sit down together and go through every single thing you need to know right now. So let's start from the beginning, because I want to make sure everyone watching, whether you've been on Social Security for 20 years or you just started receiving benefits, understands exactly what we're talking about here. The Social Security Administration has issued updated guidance connected to benefit payment thresholds, and the number that keeps coming up is $1,150. Now, here's what that means in plain English. The SSA periodically adjusts what's called the substantial gainful activity level, income thresholds, and payment caps. And these adjustments ripple through to how benefits are calculated, reduced, or even temporarily withheld for certain recipients. For February 2025, the SSA confirmed that the average Social Security retirement benefit sits right around $1,976 per month following the 2.5% COLA increase that took effect in January. But here's the thing. Not everyone is receiving that average. Millions of people are receiving checks closer to that $1,750 range. And for those individuals, these new changes carry specific implications that could either help you or hurt you depending on your exact situation. If you are someone who retired early, if you claimed benefits before your full retirement age, or if your work history includes gaps, maybe you took time off to raise children or care for a family member, then there's a very real chance your monthly check falls right in that $1,750 window. And the SSA's February announcement touches directly on people in that bracket. Now, let me talk about the COLA increase, because I get questions about this every single week, and I want to clear up some confusion. The 2.5% cost of living adjustment that kicked in for 2025 was announced back in October, and it officially hit Social Security checks starting with the January payment. So if your check in December 2024 was $1,700, after the 2.5% adjustment, you should be receiving approximately $1,742 or $1,743 per month now. But here's where people are getting confused and sometimes even panicked. Some of you opened your bank statements in January and February, and the number did not go up by what you expected. And there are a few reasons for that. First, Medicare Part B premiums also increased at the start of 2025. The standard Part B premium went up to $185 per month, which is an increase of about $1,030 from last year. If Medicare is deducted directly from your Social Security check, which it is for most people, that increase comes right off the top before you ever see a penny. So your gross benefit went up 2.5%, but your net take-home after Medicare went up by a smaller amount, or in some cases it may have felt flat. This is not a mistake. This is not the SSA taking money from you unfairly, but it is something you absolutely need to understand so you can plan your budget accurately. If you have not sat down and looked at your new benefit verification letter, that's the letter the SSA mailed out in December showing your 2025 payment amount, I want you to do that today. If you lost that letter or never received it, you can get a new one instantly by logging into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov or by calling the SSA directly at 1-800-772-913. Now let's talk about the part of this video that I know makes some of you nervous, because it made me nervous too when I first started researching it. And that is the issue of benefit offsets and what some people call clawbacks. Here is the situation. If you received any overpayment from the SSA at any point in the last few years, even if it was their error and not yours, the agency has the right to recover that money by reducing your monthly check. In 2024, there was significant public backlash after reports came out showing the SSA was withholding up to 100% of some recipients' checks to recover overpayments. After enormous pressure from advocacy groups and members of Congress, the SSA walked that back and announced they would cap overpayment recovery at 10% of your monthly benefit unless you voluntarily agree to a higher rate. But here's what you need to know right now. In February 2025, if you receive a notice from the SSA saying you were overpaid, do not ignore it and do not panic. You have the right to appeal. You have the right to request a waiver, especially if repaying the money would cause you financial hardship. And you have the right to ask for a lower repayment rate. These are not favors the SSA is doing for you. These are your legal rights, and the agency is required by law to honor them. If you get one of those notices, call the SSA, go to your local SSA office, or reach out to a benefits counselor in your area. Do not let fear cause you to miss a deadline. All right, now let's shift to something that I genuinely love talking about: the money that is sitting out there that people don't know they're entitled to. Because in all the worry about reductions and Medicare premiums, a lot of seniors miss out on credits and programs that could seriously boost their monthly income. Let me give you a real example. My friend Dorothy, she's 71, lives alone in Ohio, and has been on Social Security for 6 years. She was getting $1,740 a month and assumed that was just her lot in life. What she didn't know was that she qualified for the Extra Help program, which is a federal program that helps people with limited income pay for Medicare prescription drug costs. Once she enrolled, her out-of-pocket drug costs dropped by over $200 a month. That's essentially like getting a $200 raise without her actual Social Security check changing at all. Beyond Extra Help, there's also the Medicare Savings Program, which can pay your Part B premium entirely. That's $185 a month back in your pocket. There are low-income subsidy programs. There are state-level property tax exemptions for seniors on fixed incomes. And there is something called the SSI windfall provision that sometimes allows people who didn't know they qualified for SSI to receive back payments going months or even years into the past. If you are earning less than roughly $2,000 a month in total income and you have limited savings and assets, I strongly encourage you to check whether you qualify for SSI as a supplement to your regular Social Security. The income and asset limits have been the same for a very long time, and they're frustratingly low. But if you fall within them, you could be receiving additional funds every single month that you are simply not getting right now. Now I want to speak directly to our veterans for a moment, because you have your own set of updates happening right now, and they deserve your full attention. The Department of Veterans Affairs announced its own COLA adjustment for 2025, and VA disability compensation payments also increased by 2.5% effective December 1st, 2024, with those new amounts reflected in January 2025 payments. So if you were receiving VA disability compensation at the 70% rating level, for example, your monthly payment moved from approximately $1,663 to approximately $1,705 per month. At the 100% rating, the increase brings payments to over $3,700 for a single veteran with no dependents. Here's something extremely important for veterans who are also receiving Social Security. If you receive both VA disability compensation and Social Security retirement or SSDI, those two benefits can generally be received simultaneously without one reducing the other. That is a significant advantage that veterans have. And if you are not currently claiming VA disability benefits that you may be entitled to, perhaps from a service-connected condition you developed years after leaving the military, I want you to look into that right away. The Veterans Benefits Administration has a claims process that can feel overwhelming, but there are free VSO representatives, Veteran Service Organization officers, who will help you file at no cost. Let me spend a few minutes on taxes, because this is an area where I see a lot of seniors get caught off guard every single spring. You may not know this, but up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be subject to federal income tax depending on your combined income. And here's how that works in plain English. The IRS uses something called your combined income. That's your adjusted gross income plus any non-taxable interest plus half of your Social Security benefits. If that number falls between $25,000 and $34,000 for a single filer, up to 50% of your benefits may be taxable. If it exceeds $34,000, up to 85% of your benefits may be taxable. For married couples filing jointly, those thresholds are $32,000 and $44,000. Now, these thresholds have not been updated for inflation in decades, which means more and more seniors are getting pulled into taxable territory, even when their real purchasing power hasn't improved much at all. This is something Congress has discussed changing, but as of February 2025, those old thresholds still apply. The good news is there are legal strategies to manage this. Things like timing your IRA withdrawals carefully, considering Roth conversions in lower income years, and making sure you are not accidentally pushing yourself into a higher tax bracket with unnecessary withdrawals. I always recommend sitting down with a tax professional who specifically understands retirement income, not just a general tax preparer, but someone who works with seniors regularly. Let me wrap up the practical details with the February 2025 payment schedule, because I know a lot of you plan your bills around these dates, and any confusion can really throw things off. Social Security retirement, disability, and survivor benefits are paid on a staggered schedule based on your birth date. If your birthday falls between the 1st and 10th of the month, your February payment was deposited on Wednesday, February 12th. If your birthday falls between the 11th and 20th, your payment came on Wednesday, February 19th. And if your birthday falls between the 21st and 31st, your February payment will arrive on Wednesday, February 26th. SSI recipients received their February payment on February 1st, as SSI is always paid on the 1st of the month, or the Friday before if the 1st falls on a weekend. If you have not received your payment within 3 business days of your scheduled date, the SSA recommends waiting 1 additional business day before contacting them, as there are sometimes minor delays through individual banks. If it still has not arrived after that, call 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov to check your payment status. My friends, I want to close today by saying something from the heart. You worked for these benefits. You paid into this system for decades. You raised families. You served your communities. Many of you served this country in uniform. And you deserve to receive every single dollar that you are entitled to, not a penny less. That is why I make these videos, not to scare you, not to overwhelm you, but to make sure that when changes happen, you hear about them from someone who actually cares about your financial security and your peace of mind. So here is your action plan coming out of today's video. First, log into SSA.gov and verify your current benefit amount. Second, check whether your Part B premium is being correctly deducted and that it matches the $185 standard amount. Third, if you received any overpayment notice, take it seriously, but know you have rights. Appeal or request a waiver. Fourth, look into extra help, Medicare savings programs, and any state benefits available in your area. And fifth, if you are a veteran, make sure you are receiving all of the VA compensation you have earned. If this video helped you today, please share it with someone else who deserves to know this information. A neighbor, a sibling, a friend from church. Because the more people we can reach, the more lives we can genuinely help. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.